Good evening, everyone. It is rare that we get to see a packed house like this in chambers for a school board meeting, and so I just want to welcome everyone here tonight. If Ms. Goodell would call the roll.
Yes. Let's see. Mr. Lawrence, Mr. Reitinger, Ms. Ward, and Mr. Webb.
Here.
Oh, and Mr. Ankuma.
If you all would rise with me for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda for this evening. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. We'll move on to recognitions and report. And first up for this evening is Delegate Marcus Simon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and members of the school board. And before I do this, I'm not this quick. This is not to recognize any of the 3 state champion teams that we have here, but what a fantastic night. We don't work that fast in the General Assembly. Nothing happens. We're not as slow as Congress, but we're not that fast either. But what I do have is a presentation of a proclamation commending Falls Church City Public Schools for your achievements with the International Baccalaureate program here in Falls Church. We all know that we have wonderful and world-class schools in Falls Church City. We're known for a lot of things, but the schools in particular are a big draw and a big reason that a lot of people choose to live, work, and raise their families here in the city of Falls Church. And so you all are rightfully proud of what you've achieved. But in particular, one of the things you've done here is really taken the International Baccalaureate program to a new level, beyond just being a program for high school students. In 2016, you all were able to expand that to the point where it's now available as a comprehensive curriculum all the way from pre-K all the way through high school graduation. And so the General Assembly, my colleagues in the General Assembly, wanted to commend you all for that achievement. And if you'll allow me just a minute as folks are making their way in, and I won't bore you guys with this for too long because there's an election coming up next year. I don't want to upset anybody. But we'll keep that. I do want to hit some of the key whereases, and then we can make a presentation to the chairman and the rest of the school board. So it says, whereas Falls Church City Public Schools became the first public school system in the Commonwealth to offer a comprehensive international baccalaureate program for students in kindergarten through 12th grade, and whereas this program provides students and teachers with a balanced framework to become inquisitive, respectful world citizens that are knowledgeable, principled, and open-minded leaders that are willing to step outside their comfort zone and experience new ideas. And I think if the world needs anything now, it's more knowledgeable, principled, and open-minded leaders. So hopefully we can continue that good work. And whereas you started the program in high schools in 1981, and then in 2012, the Falls Church City Public Schools implemented the IB Primary Years program at Mount Daniel Elementary School and Thomas Jefferson Elementary School to give students between the ages of 3 and 12 a stronger foundation to become, again, active, caring, and lifelong learners. And whereas in 2016, Falls Church City Public Schools became the first school system in Virginia to offer the IB curriculum to all students with the addition of the Middle Years program at Mary Ellen Henderson Middle School. And whereas the MYP, the Middle Years program, completes the full IB program, building on the knowledge, skills, and attitudes developed in the PYP, and then preparing students to meet the academic challenges of the IB diploma. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the House of Delegates, the Senate concurring, the General Assembly hereby commend Falls Church City Public Schools on becoming the first public school system in the Commonwealth to offer an international baccalaureate program for students in all grade levels. Be it resolved further that the clerk of the House of Delegates prepare a copy of this resolution. The presentation of the Falls Church School Board is an expression of the General Assembly's admiration for the school system's work to provide new opportunities for its students. So thank you very much, and let me present this to you.
And if you would come on up, and we'll do a picture, and if you all just fall in.
Can I also have the IB coordinators and Ms. Seabridge come up to join in this picture for all of their hard work and dedication in this program?
Thank you again, Delegate Simon. Next, we'll move on to GM Band recognition for the Carnegie Hall performers. If whoever's going to speak on behalf of you all come up, and those who were performers. Yeah, right up to the mic there. Are they doing a picture first? If the sponsor would do their comments first, and then we'll bring all the students up to, with the sponsors for a picture. So whoever is the designated speaker for the group? Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, members of the school board, the band trip has always been one of my favorite parts of any year, and for my senior year, to be able to play at Carnegie Hall was a unique experience and one of the highlights of my band career. From what I have seen, these trips are a logistical nightmare. So, on behalf of all the musicians at Mason, I would like to thank Miss West and Miss Matheny for the incredible amount of time they spent to make this trip a success. I would also like to extend my thanks to the band boosters and to the school board for supporting us in all our endeavors. We would like to present you with this photograph of the wind ensemble in Carnegie Hall as a token of our appreciation.
Thank you all very much. So if you all come up and try to fit around, and we'll do a picture. Yeah, I'm just going to say. Yeah, we'll stay back here. No, they can. If you all can do 2 rows in the kind of around here.
My house and plenty of time.
I love all your neighbors. Since I don't get as much as pictures I'd like.
Before everybody in the band files out, and I wouldn't blame you if you did, I just want to take a moment. My name's Peter Noonan. I'm the new superintendent here in the City of Falls Church, and over the last 4 weeks or so, I've been doing a listening tour, and some of you have heard what I've learned in my listening tour along the way, but one of the things that I've heard from everyone is, one, the quality of the band program, and two, how awesome Miss West is. So I just want to say thank you to Miss West.
Thank you all very much. I'm going to give them a second to make their transition. All right. Next, we're going to have the team 14-18 robotics and highlights, and Mr. Ballou has stepped up, and I'm sure he has a few comments first.
Just to warm up things up while they drive the robot around a little bit, we want to be careful here. But once again, our annual thank you and presentation to the board for your support for our program. That's the main reason we're here. We've had an amazing year. Once again, the challenge of designing and building a robot like this in 6 weeks and then going to 4 competitions and finding our ways into the finals at every one of them has been a real measure of success. We've had just this great couple of years, and sadly to say, I am graduating a sizable number of seniors this year. All you seniors stand up here for a second. You can get an idea about what percentage, and this is just part of the team here tonight. But there's a lot of experience that's going to be moving on and opportunities for the younger kids to take over. But at the same time, it's we had a great time at these competitions. Our rankings weren't as good as we wanted, but our stats were terrific, and we found our way into some great finals. And at the World Championships, we were a hair's breadth from making it to the semifinals, which I loved. It was just, we were playing against some of the best teams in the world, and we were peaking right at the right moment, and it was just great to watch these guys play and play consistently and really be an asset to their alliance. Anyhow, so this year's robot had to pick up discs that looked like gears and deliver them to an airship. And if you delivered 14 of them, you got a number of rotors to spin, which gave you points. It also allowed you to be able to pick up wiffle balls. There were several hundred of these on the field. We had the capability of shooting, but we got rid of it because of other design decisions. But you could put fuel in a tank. And then finally, in the last 30 seconds, you were required to climb a rope. And this is a 108-pound robot, pretty light compared to ones we've had in the past, but it had to climb 4 feet and set off a light. And so we had to come up with apparatus. That's what you're seeing demonstrated right here. So we have a certain amount of mechanical gearing going on. We have a certain amount of electronics controls and sensors and that kind of thing. What was really outstanding this year was the fact that we won the programming trophy twice. This was a tribute to our programmers who are able to, first of all, control this very complex drive system. We're using Swerve Drive. It has 8 motors that have to be coordinated at one time. And this robot is capable of both being field-centric and robot-centric. And that really impressed the judges. And their ability to articulate and explain themselves put them in the trophy class, and that's really what the sign of excellence is. How much this whole community of really genuinely interested and supportive technologists recognize the hard work of these kids. Anyhow, Carv?
Yeah, so as Mr. Ballou said, I just want to thank you guys for your continued support of the robotics program. And this year, like last year, for the second time in a row, we made it to the Robotics World Championship. And that is a big feat, and we're very proud of that, and we're hopefully continuing that next year. But the most important thing, regardless of whether we win or lose, is for each one of these students, it has given them a practical application for everything that they wish to do in their future. It's given them the chance to compete with teams from all over the world. We've seen teams from China, from the Middle East, that come over and they compete. And this is a really great experience. And we want to thank you as many of our seniors graduate. We would hope that you show the same support that you showed us while we were here at Mason. Thank you.
Just before I invite you all up here for a photo, two things. I had the pleasure of coming out to see you all this year in Prince William County, as did Mr. Radinger. It was my first time coming out to one of the competitions, and it was just to see the camaraderie between not only your all's team, which I was there to support, but just to in general see the camaraderie and the level of work and skill that those students put into the different robots. It was something that I really enjoyed seeing, and glad I had that opportunity to come out to support you all for that day. But I would be remiss to not say thank you to Mr. Ballou, who is retiring at the end of this academic year in a couple weeks for 36, excuse me. Got to remember that last year, that 36 years of great service to our community, and I'm quite sure to many of robotics teams, building sets for different productions. Mr. Ballou has been a jack of all trades at George Mason High School, and many students have had the pleasure of working with him and him giving life skills to them as they graduated from the high school and moved on to their different colleges and universities and on into their lives. But I would be remiss to not wish you the best in the next couple weeks when your retirement that's upcoming. You have definitely earned that opportunity for that. So if you all will come on up to the front.
It's not our table, it's the city council.
I want to take this opportunity while we're setting up to thank John Chang and Abhijit and Don Brobst here, who are co-mentors and put countless hours in this year to help support these guys in their build and competitive season. Thank you.
Thank you guys very much. Next up will be the champion of character for the spring athletics.
Good evening. For the past 4 months, over 200 of our students have gone out on the fields and competed under the Mason flag. And actually just kind of standing here watching all of the recognitions today, it's pretty phenomenal how diverse our kids are. When you look at the choral recognition and the robotics, so many of these kids are athletes, they're members of the award-winning band, of the robotics team, and so they do so many different things. It's amazing how diverse they are and all of the different skill sets that they possess. But over this season, they've earned countless individual and team awards for their performance on the field. But I think what makes our program particularly unique is not just those on-the-field awards, but it's the fact that all of this is done with an emphasis on individual development as citizens by our coaches, by our entire program. And as part of that, each season, our coaches pick a Champion of Character award winner from their team. And this is a player that most exemplifies the characteristics of integrity, respect, responsibility, sportsmanship, and leadership. These Champions of Character are here this evening to introduce themselves to you and to tell you a little bit about their season. Unfortunately, one of them was not able to be here this evening. Daniel Reinfurt was the Champion of Character Award winner for the baseball team. Some of you may recognize that name because he was also the Champion of Character for the football team and also for the swim team, and so it's a pretty phenomenal thing there. But beyond that, I'll let the athletes do the talking.
Hi, I'm Katie Mills from the George Mason softball team. This year, we by no means had an easy season, but despite that, seeing our progress from the very first game to the very last one was amazing and inspiring. And the dedication of the players and the perseverance from the coaches, it was all very amazing to watch, and I'm very proud of our performance, and it was all possible due to everyone's support. Thank you.
Good evening. Tonight, Wesley and I are representing the boys soccer team. We were honored to be captains this year. Unfortunately, we weren't able to win a state title, but Wesley and I are both extremely proud to have been on the team this year and enjoy successes both at the district and conference levels. I think Wesley and I can both say that Mason soccer is probably the highlight of our high school career. The camaraderie that comes with that, and just being with the team, from bus rides and on the field, it's a great team to be a part of. So you want to go ahead, Wes?
So this year we encountered a couple hiccups along the way, including injuries, a couple setbacks along the way. And over the past couple of years, winning state championships, every team that we have played has just come out with just the goal to just crush us and say, we beat the state champions, But, with that increasing target on our back, every player on the team has really stepped up into the role that was necessary for every game. And, every player has really contributed. And I can say, I'm pretty sure I can talk for the whole soccer team that everybody has just been so proud of all the accomplishments. Even if we did not reach all of our goals for the season, we still were able to persevere under a lot of difficult hardships. And I can honestly say that there's nothing more that I love about Mason than the Mason soccer team. So, thank you.
Hi, I'm Megan. I'm here from the Mason girls soccer team. So we lost 8 of our 11 starting players last year, including a lot of seniors, but you would have never noticed with the amazing group of girls we had coming back. And that came all from, we have 4 fantastic coaches. Coach K is over there, and then we have the other 3 who have just stuck with us through a lot. And the same goes as for what Wes and Nico said, is I wouldn't want to be a part of any other Mason club or team or anything that being a senior and ending my Mason career, I wouldn't have wanted to do it any other way. And luckily we were able to win our 10th state championship this year, which was amazing. And we wouldn't have been able to do it without anyone on the team. And it was just a really fantastic season, and I'm probably going to miss it the most out of anything here. So thank you for everyone's support for that.
Hi, I'm I'm Jack Illigan. I play for the lacrosse team. We didn't have that good of a year this year, but it was another building year. We're only losing 2 seniors, so that means we're going to probably be a lot better next year because we'll all be practicing over the summer. And we have great coaches that will develop us into a good team. And yeah, that's it.
Hello, my name is Annette Schlitt. I'm a member of the varsity girls lacrosse team at Mason. This year we won the 4A state championship for the first time in Mason history, which was we're all extremely proud of that, and I'd like to thank my coaches and team for being, or my coaches and teammates for being amazing and so supportive.
Hi, I'm Lucas Green. I'm a freshman at George Mason. This year I was the number 4 singles player as well as on the second doubles team. This year we made it, to, me and my partner and I, we made it to the regional tournament where we ended up losing to a 4-star recruit who was going to Virginia Tech the next year. So it was a learning experience. I had a great team. It was really fun and a great coach as well, so I'm looking forward to next year. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Andrea Delau, and I'm a member of the girls Mason tennis team. Today, it was a really fun season. We had a lot of ups and downs. We ended up going for the team singles and doubles tournaments. We went all the way to regionals and were eliminated by Maggie Walker, who ended up being the 2A state championship or champions. But it was still an amazing season. We are graduating 5 seniors, 4 of which were members of the top 6. So it'll definitely be a building season for them next year. But I'm looking forward to coming back and seeing how hard they work and how far they go. I'd like to thank the school board and the community for their support. We couldn't have made it without you guys. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Patrick Lynn on the boys track and field team, and I just want to thank all my friends and family and the whole team for supporting me these past 3 years, and props to the entire team for making, most of the team making states, and props to me for making states. Since 2001, it's been a long drought, 16-year drought, and best of luck to the players next year. They have so much talent, and if you really work hard, you get what your future will be bright.
Hi, I'm Jackie Anderson. I'm part of the girls' track and field team, and I would just, the season went very well for us. We placed first at districts and conferences. Overall, we grew as a team together. We started out strong, and then we ended even stronger. And I would like to thank our coaches and the seniors for always pushing us to do our very best, even in practices. And overall, we ended up placing 6th at states, and I'm very grateful to have one more year on this team. Thank you.
If you all would come up to the desk and have a picture.
Many people.
Just like to thank all of you all for all the hard work and dedication that you all, each of you have put into your respective teams. And for the seniors, I'm sure was one of the best experiences that you had and you'll take with you as you move on to the next steps in your life. next will be recognition for our two recent weekend state championship teams. Our girls lacrosse team, first time in history, which I'm excited to see that, and for our women's soccer team. So I don't know who wants to potentially be the speaker for those, if there is a person who want to have a.
Sounds like a good captain's thing to do. Who's our?
So we had a really awesome and fun and super successful season this year. We obviously couldn't have done it without everyone pretty much in this room. We had so many supporters this year. I think that's one of our favorite parts is we go to every game and there's so many people from our community in the stands cheering us on. And it definitely helped us get where we are right now. So we'd like to thank all you guys for that. Yeah. Else want to say anything?
If you all would come on up here, and if your coach is here, you could come on up with, because that's definitely an important part of the recipe of success is great coaching. So if you come on up as well.
You want all of the crew up?
The team. Two rows if you need to. 2 rows if you need to. And if the members of the girls soccer team would come on up next.
Hi again.
Hello.
So this is all of us. The rest of our team is actually studying for finals, and they have lots of work this week. So that's where they are. I think that's just a tribute to how much they care about school and everything they go for. But anyway, we did have an amazing season, and it just went great. We were undefeated in the in our district. We only had one loss to Jeb Stewart, a 6A school, and the definite highlight of our season was in the regional semifinals. It was the game to push us to get to states. We won against Maggie Walker Governor School in double overtime with 1 minute and 40 seconds to go. One of our underclassmen just had a phenomenal goal, and that was, I think, maybe the highlight of all of our careers. And we couldn't have gotten there with, I said it before, our coaches, and then Coach Braven, Coach Harris, and then most definitely Coach G, who is just phenomenal at the school, and we've all been helped by her this year. So overall, it was a great season. And they're good. But yes, so thank you everyone here for
All right.
making that.
And if you all will come up, and coaches as well, and the rest of any other team members. Next will be the President's Environmental Youth Award recipient. Yes. Floor is yours.
Mr. Chairman, Dr. Noonan, members of the school board, thank you for the invitation. It's my distinct honor to share with you another first for George Mason High School. I applaud the efforts of and the success of the previous recipients that you've honored here tonight, but I wish to share with you something that is, I think, very special to our students, and that's the Presidential Award, Environmental Youth Award. And I believe this is the first time George Mason High School has ever received such recognition. This award is given to outstanding individuals, and I'm paraphrasing from the Secretary of the EPA, Mr. Pruitt, who identified our students as exceptional with creativity, individuality, and a conservation effort toward protecting the natural environment. Even though this was associated with our project that is titled Providing Healthy Food in Urban Systems. And through our recognition with our hydroponics and the aquaculture program, we received this particular award from the U.S. EPA Region 3 office. And I might mention that this was a cooperative effort between Mr. Richard Kane, our food service manager, and the science department and with special funding from the super grant from the Falls Church Education Foundation. Without the collective efforts of this huge team, we would not have been able to succeed in our success and continuing to have success with both of these projects. I'm going to turn it over to them because I think you need to hear from them. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ian Leach. Thank you for having us here. So we're a pretty new group. We're about 2 years now, and I just can't think of like how much of a great experience it's been. I've done so much more in this group than I ever thought I would have. I am one of the student co-founders of this group. We get so I'm going to college for video production major, and I never thought that this group would have helped with it. I just grew up on a farm, and I like agriculture and sustainability. I think is the future of how we're gonna grow food, and what better way to do that than hydroponics and aquaponics. So I've been on so many trips. I've had the honor to go on the Kojo Namdi show on NPR and talk about our project there. We've been to Virginia State University. That's where we got our fish, and it's just been great talking to experts in the field, learning how all these systems work. We've been starting from the ground up, starting with nothing, and it's just been great. And big thanks to Dr. Mecca and Jamie Lay, Dr. Peter Mecca, and it's just been really amazing. I couldn't have ever thought that I would be where I am now in this group. So thank you.
Before I say anything, proud thanks to Mr. Kane for collaborating with us. Honestly, it's such an honor to have him by our side. My name is Adrian Kamel. I'm part of the hydroponics and aquaculture group, and like my friend Ian Leach here, he said that honestly I thought this was not going to be anything big, but actually I got the chance to go all the way out to Boston and collaborate ideas and innovations and new ideas with people all around the world. I met a guy from India, and they're actually going to start using some of the techniques that we shared, me and Mr. Lay shared with them. Also, we got to go to Maryland, which is a bit closer, and we got to talk to about 300 kids about what we do and how it affects everything around us. It's actually been a very good experience. We've actually got the chance to feed our own cafeterias with the lettuce that we've grown and the fish that we harvest. And it's just been an honor, so thank you very much.
Is that everyone?
Just to wrap things up, I'm Jamie Lay. I'm also a teacher who's worked with this group. This really is a phenomenal group of students, students with a diverse background and a diverse history at Falls Church City. And I am so proud of how far they have come. And it's been so neat to watch some of them grow from 8th graders to students who are going off to college. And I'm very, very proud of them. I couldn't say enough good things about them. So thank you guys.
I just want to add my congratulations to all of you. I want to thank Dr. Mecca, Mr. Leahy, Mr. Hills, and Mr. Kane for your extraordinary work with these young folks. I walked into Falls Church, or into the city of Falls Church, and into George Mason High School not too long ago, and I said to, I think it was Mr. Hills, as I was sort of looking around and hearing about the aquaculture, I was relating an experience that I had at Colorado College. I said, it's really cool. You know, you got these plants, they're hydroponic plants, and underneath they're raising tilapia. And he's like, yeah, we do that already. It's really cool. And and I was like, what? And I walked over and I saw the amazing work that's going on. And it just was a testimony to the real power of teamwork, the power of collaboration. When you all work together as hard as you do, what can happen? And I share in the pride for this group, and I know that you'll represent us well when you make your trip to the White House for this President's Award. So congratulations. And thank you to the local market here in Falls Church, who's actually going to purchase our tilapia that we're raising and sell it. So we are excited to donate our tilapia and hopefully reap some benefits from, get paid for our tilapia. Anyhow, really excited, and thank the local market for that too. So.
Mr. Lawrence?
I just want to say one thing for the foundation, since I'm the liaison to them. The ideas come from, you know, the students, the faculty, the staff, but places like the foundation play a key role because they donated $16,000 as part of their super grant, which is, you know, an amazing thing that we have a foundation that donates $250,000 every single year back to the schools, back to the community. And this is partly a thank you to them, partly a thank you for you all for coming up with it, but it's also a call to the teachers, the staff, and the students. This upcoming September 15th is the deadline for the next super grants. As you can see, they fund 5-figure programs. So think about what you want to do. This is the kind of thing they do. It's innovative, it's new, and you've got the next 4 months to get your ideas into the foundation. They want to fund things like this, so please keep thinking and keep coming up with these ideas. Thank you.
If everyone would come on up to the front, advisors and everyone come on up.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Next is the recognition of student representatives to school board advisory groups for the 2017 and 2018 school year. How many we got here? So I'm just looking for now. All right, so I'll just announce those folks who are here for this year for our gifted and talented. There's Cassandra Rice. For our special ed advisory board, that's Colton Adams. The daycare advisory is Kathleen Deal. Health and wellness is Megan Murphy. ESOL is Angela Diallo. And our business and education, again, Megan Murphy. Thank you. And our student board representative is Nathan Holmes for this year. I want to congratulate each of you all for stepping up, for taking on this responsibility. In addition to all that you do at George Mason in the classroom every day, taking on these leadership roles are things that are very important, and we look forward to, as I'm sure all the different school board commissions look forward to having a student perspective on those. We certainly do here on the school board enjoy having a student here that is the eyes and ears of the students at our schools, and giving us that additional insight has been helpful over the years that we've had this program. And so we look forward to you all stepping in and stepping up and doing some of those same things to make sure that you all have a voice in everything of decisions that are going to affect not only you all, but the students in your respective schools. So we, again, thank you all very much. If any of you want to say anything, you're more than welcome to before we invite you all up to take a photo. How many times you're going to get the mic in front of you? So if anyone wants to, you're more than welcome to before coming up and do a photo with the board.
So, I mean, this is at least my experience and one other student representative. We were just kind of told earlier today that, hey, you're being recognized tonight at the school board meeting, so if you could come show up, it starts at 7. So, I mean, I served as the student representative for this year as well, and I just want to say it's been very fun to work with the Gifted and Talented Advisory Committee because there's so much that goes into the Gifted and Talented program in all of our schools that I don't think I would have heard about, and it was very, it was nice that I could put my input, give my input, and yeah, I just say thank you guys so much. I really appreciate this opportunity.
Hey, I'm Coulter Adams. This is my first year at GM, and I'm just really enthusiastic to be getting into the public policy making process. This is, like Cassandra said, the first time I've been notified of this, but I'm super excited. This is an opportunity that I've been looking for a long time to get involved in my community and in my school, sort of at the direct policy level, as opposed to sort of just hearing about sort of what happens afterwards after decisions are made. So I'm just really glad to be involved with all of these fantastic students and representatives. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
If y'all would come on up to do a photo. Next, we're going to have the annual reports from some of our boards and commission. The first up would be the health and wellness, if they are here this evening.
Hi, I'm Susan Dimmick. I sit on the Health and Wellness Committee. I'm the chair. We have a dwindling number of members, so anyone who's interested in joining the Health and Wellness Committee, I've been recruiting. I was CC'd on another email today, so I think we are gaining new members. First, I want to thank the staff who sit with us on the committee. The information they share is invaluable, and I appreciate their input. And I also appreciate the student input from the seniors who join our committee. I'm just going to go over a few things that we talked about this year. We discussed health and wellness programming for the school staff and identified a productive way to move forward on that for this coming year, assuming there are more than 2 committee members. So hopefully we'll have more committee members and be able to do some programming for staff in the different schools. We also discussed current programs for stress, anxiety, and mindfulness, school system-wide, as well as possible programming opportunities for seniors next year on different health and wellness topics. We talked about indoor air quality in the schools. Poor indoor air quality and poor school environment, physical environment, are linked to poor health outcomes and lower school performance, so it's a very relevant issue. Dr. Jones came out in fall and talked with us about the indoor air quality, noting that it's hard to maintain at George Mason. The air doesn't circulate the way they would like there, but she did note that mold tests were performed regularly at George Mason, and as of fall, there was no problem with the indoor air quality at Mason. It was within acceptable limits. Staff informed us that we'll be revising the K through 5 family life education curriculum this year. Interim Superintendent Schiller came for a visit to talk about child sexual abuse and possible programming. He noted that the board and staff were looking for ways for FCCPS to be more proactive on that front. Those are the main highlights. I think we're going to have more committee members. I put out a plea for people. Next year, we'd like to talk more about resilience among our students, programming for seniors around transition to college, stress, anxiety, how to manage that transition. There are also parents interested in talking about the length of recess in the elementary schools, as well as going out when the weather is colder. Right now, they stay inside if it's 33. But thank you very much.
Next up, if there's the BIE report.
Good evening. I'm Eric Pelton. I'm the chair of the Business and Education Committee. This was my second year as the chair of our committee. We had a productive year with about 15 members, including representatives from all the different schools and from the business community and the Chamber of Commerce and the Education Foundation. One thing new we did this year was also invite the PTAs and some of the other school-affiliated organizations, the band boosters and the athletics boosters, to come participate with us as well. I think that was a big success. Throughout the course of the year, the BIE facilitated more than 500 partnerships of all different types, from donations to curricular experts coming into the classes to speak, to judges at various school activities. We launched the BIE Partnership video series this year that went out through the school's social media and YouTube page, featured a couple of the different business partners and why they've gotten involved in supporting the schools. I'm going to try to keep it brief and just hit some of the highlights here. TJ students are currently working on their PYP exhibition projects again. I went through this last year with my son, and it was great to see how many of the projects have reached out to all types of members in the community, but a lot of businesses in the community for support and information and resources. And so a lot of businesses are supporting that exhibition process right now. Businesses have also been supporting the Give Day projects that happened at TJ earlier in the year and are going on at MEH, currently fundraising for the project next week. The George Mason Senior Externships are also going on right now with a lot of local business partnerships. About a month ago at MEH, as part of the Celebration of Excellence, there were seven honored business partners and 3 Virginia SBA Business Honor Roll awardees presented and recognized that afternoon. That was a really great presentation. Mary Beth did not only all the work on that presentation, but did much of all of this work coordinating all of the partnerships and really being a tremendous resource for the teachers, for the businesses, for the students, for the classrooms, for the principals, and really none of this would happen without Mary Beth. So I just want to make sure that everybody's aware of that. I know you're all already very much aware of that. We continue to publish the partnership directory online, and it continues to grow and grow and grow. And the dollar amounts are at least $200,000 in the value of the contributions and the volunteer time and the funds raised. And like I said, over 500 partnerships. I think that those numbers are frankly underestimated. I wouldn't be surprised if it's close to double that in the number of partnerships and the amount of money, because it's hard to calculate these things. People don't like to brag and take credit and report them necessarily. If Mary Beth doesn't see it, she doesn't necessarily know that it happens. So we look forward to another great year next year on the BIE, and we've already discussed some of our plans and ideas for increasing STEAM opportunities and being involved in the process to build the new campus and see how businesses and partnerships may play a role in that. And we had a great final meeting of the school year with Dr. Noonan in attendance just, I think, 2 weeks ago. So thank you. If there's any questions, of course, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you very much. Next up will be the ESOL report.
Good evening. My name is Claudia Würzbicki. I'm the co-chair of the ESOL Advisory Committee. In the name of the ESOL Advisory Committee, we would like to thank the school board members who approved an evaluation of the ESOL program and have taken the time to understand the problems and support proposed solutions. We would like to thank the school staff liaison Lisa Hai and Jean Seabridge, who met with the ESOL community, listened to their problems, and implemented effective solutions to these problems to enhance the program and ensure that ESOL families have access to the school and school personnel. We also like to thank our school staff committee members, the ESOL teachers and paraprofessionals who have implemented numerous initiatives with excellence and grace, and who continuously provide additional ideas to improve the ESOL program. Without you all, we would not have been able to accomplish what we did. One of the highlights of the year was the ESOL program evaluation. Based on the findings, the ESOL Advisory Committee recommended to hire a full-time ESOL coordinator with expertise in teaching English as a second language, and to hire 2 additional ESOL teachers, 1 for TJ and 1 teacher for George Mason. The ESOL Advisory Committee is thankful to the school board who addressed the request for additional staff in the fiscal year 2018 budget discussion. As of now, a 0.5 ESOL teacher for TJ was approved. Another highlight of this past school year was the ESOL outreach in form of family events that were well attended. The ESOL Family Night on June 1st and the TJ Family Celebration of the After School Program TOPS included presentations by the staff of services and programs relevant to the ESOL program, to the ESOL community. An interpreter translated the presentations, food was provided, and one highlight of the ESOL family night was actually a magician who entertained the children during the time when the parents were sitting in with the discussions. ESOL students went on different field trips. For instance, George Mason students toured the George Mason University, and TJ top students went to the Children's Science Center Lab at Fair Oaks Mall. They really enjoyed it a lot. The school used Language Line effectively throughout the year. All 4 schools provided back-to-school programs and will have summer programs for the ESOL students. In summary, it was an excellent year for the ESOL program. The work is not finished yet, but we are certainly on the right path. Thank you all for your support towards the ESOL community.
Mr. Reiniger.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to talk a bit about some of the points that Ms. Wierzbicki raised. I was honored for the first time this year to be the school board liaison representative, so I started in January. And I think the work of the committee was very impressive. As Ms. Wierzbicki pointed out, the ESOL program audit was a big focus in trying to remedy some of the challenges that presented. I think there was a lot of desire to bring additional resourcing, and of course we were able to get an additional half an FTE for Thomas Jefferson, but although I think the co-chairs would be too kind to say it, they would think that a lot more work needs to be done. And we did include in the budget a program coordinator for CTE, Gifted and Talented, and ESOL. And that was in the budget that we sent to the City Council, but we didn't get quite everything we wanted, and it was sort of the piece that didn't go through. So I would just like to offer my thanks to the committee and the co-chairs and tell you that on behalf of the board, that needs to be in our consideration next year to make sure that we are moving forward so that we have adequate staffing. So thank you very much for your efforts this year.
Thank you, Mr. Reiniger. The next report will be from the Gifted and Talented Committee.
Hello, thank you for this opportunity. I'm Shilpa Satoskar, and I'm a member of the Gifted and Talented Advisory Committee. I just want to start with thanking all of you for your support of the committee and thanking the staff that's on the committee. We have a number of we have a teacher from each school, and we have Lisa High and Jeannie Seabridge who come to each meeting, and that is immensely helpful, as well as Cassandra Rice, who I think is gone now, but I was hoping to tell her personally what a great job she did this year, and I think it's very special that our committees get to hear from students who are actually affected by what we all do. And I also want to thank the board specifically for supporting the hiring of a new gifted teacher at TJ. It's been, I can report that it's been great for the students and the teachers at TJ, so thank you. We had a productive year. I'll just briefly go through some of the things we did. As we always do, we talked about budget needs at each of the schools. This year we reviewed additional enrichment opportunities that can be offered in the future in the area of language arts. We reviewed the way that the schools communicate to parents about the offerings in the Gifted and Talented program at each level. We explored opportunities to better identify underserved populations in the Gifted program by conducting an interview of teachers across the different schools to see what could be improved and what their thoughts were, as well as comparing with neighboring jurisdictions to see what they do. And we reviewed the effectiveness of the new Math Acceleration program at TJ, also by interviewing teachers and specialists. And we had, I won't read through all the recommendations because they're all in the report, but just very quickly, the highlights were that we thought that it would be useful to have more communications to parents at each transition point throughout the different schools. So when kids move from Mount Daniel to TJ, for example, when they move from TJ to MEH, from MEH to George Mason, and when they are making their decisions about IB at George Mason. we thought that what would be helpful in making sure that we're appropriately identifying underserved population students, that we should provide additional training to classroom teachers and counselors to identify gifted students that are in that are English language learners or in the special education population or twice exceptional students, and also offering professional development opportunities to teachers to help them better identify those students. And then finally, we thought that the new math acceleration program at TJ is going quite well. We think that the third grade model should be maintained and the fourth grade model as well, and that should be extended to fifth grade. So it was a productive year, and thank you again.
Thank you very much. Next up is the Daycare Advisory Board.
Classes honor, I won't be able to see. Hi all, I'm Beth Tuomo from representing the Daycare Advisory Board. Thank you guys for seeing us tonight, and thank you for all your support, especially Lawrence. Thank you for seeing us through the first half of the year, and Margaret, welcome. We've loved having you. It's been great. It's been a great committee, and you're a great addition, and we're thrilled to have you. The daycare has had a good year. The Daycare Advisory Board has had a good year. The enrollment's been pretty steady. It's about 350 with there's some part-times left. You know, they used to have part-time. Dr. Noonan, you don't know this, but they used to offer part-time, and they're sort of phasing and grandfathering them out. So there's about 300 full-time across the three schools, mostly at TJ, which is, you know, a crowded one. They had a wait list at TJ this year for the first time for morning and evening, which is a sign of the real need for the program. Luckily, the wait list cleared eventually, but it was, you know, it's the first time that's ever happened. In the morning, the evening one it has happened before. We had some good initiatives this year that I think on the advisory board every month we talk about sort of things that are on, things that are bothering us, and a few of the things that I thought, one of the things that perpetually came up is staff retention. There was a lot of staff turnover this year, and then we were looking at what people leaving and what are we paying them and is it enough, and we've got all this money, the daycare program makes money, so why are we losing staff while we have money? So Katie embarked upon a salary study of other daycares in the region and came up with a new scale that you guys already know about because you already approved it, but we were really pleased that to be able to see that the staff members extended a raise, and hopefully that'll help attract talent and retain the people that we have. One of the other things that sort of struck me is playground at TJ is quite large, and there's been sort of a persistent concern about the back where that little crossover is, and nothing has ever happened to my knowledge at the daycare, but there was those incidents at school last year where there was a guy taking pictures of kids and just kind of some weird stuff, and so the counselors were staffing that area, but they also have kids to watch over. So we were able to sort of, Katie working, able to successfully get a security guard to stay till 6 every day, which I think is fantastic because that person just watches that fence. So the staff members, because they're assigned teams of kids, now they can worry about the kids and not worry about the fence, and that's one that I'm really pleased about because it had been bothering people for quite some time. So, and we've also sort of worked on some initiatives to raise their profile, just things like lanyards or things to identify who are the staff members so that when people come in, it's clearer who's in charge. And one of the things that I have particularly enjoyed is we started inviting a staff member from the daycare staff to each and every board meeting, and it's really lovely to have them, and they are all excited, and they bring really great insights, and they get to bring back to all of their colleagues what they're hearing and what's going on, and it's been well received from them, and we're thrilled to have them. So we have a few projects, just sort of projects, because we got money to help out, and we're using space, so we're trying to be appreciative. We bought some new lunch tables at TJ. We're resurfacing the black top at Henderson, and we're looking at trying to put some water fountains outside of TJ, but that's not that easy, so I think you guys are probably aware of that, of working on that. I want to give a big high five to Katie, even though she's not here, for her solution on the Mount Daniel construction. It took some real juggling for her to come up with a way, because there's basically 6 parking spaces next year at Mount Daniel, and a way to bus all of the first graders down to TJ for daycare. It was a balancing act, but she really stuck with it, and I think the solution is terrific, and we're really pleased. And thanks again. Thank you for everything and welcome. And we're also looking for members, and we don't bite. We're very nice. And we have a quorum, but we're short two people, so we're going to be looking. But if you know anyone who's interested, please. Thanks.
This is actually a really fun committee, so if you're looking for something fun to do, I promise you it's a lot of laughs, and this committee gets a lot of work done, but it's also a lot of fun. So I'm happy to be aboard.
Cool. Thanks.
Thank you very much. And then the last report for the evening is the special ed advisory.
Good evening. My name is John Abbracciamento, and I'd just like to start by saying thank you for this opportunity to speak. I would also like to thank all the members of the committee, past and present, who have dedicated their valuable time to advocate for students with disabilities. And thank you to the school board members, John Lawrence and Michael Ankuma, for their support and advice. And I would be remiss if I didn't thank Liz Germer, Director of Special Education and Student Services, for her tireless work effort, her expertise, and guidance. And finally, thank you to the parents who took their valuable time away from their families to speak and advocate for their children. Please know that their voices were heard. This is a brand new year for us with a reconstituted committee. After soliciting input from each member, we decided to go back to the basics, review and update the bylaws, and create a plan to move forward and represent and support the needs of children with disabilities in our school system. Our committee was made up of representatives from each of the schools, and all the parents have students with a disability. In regards to the charge given to us by the school board, we began to investigate different parent resources, such as the Parent Educational Advocacy Training Center, to look for ways to enhance parent communication as it is related to special education. We supported the Parent University for parents of preschool and elementary students on the special education process. At the high school level, there was a college transition meeting in conjunction with Fairfax and Arlington counties. In addition, we began to collect and review data on disability trends and special education needs to help focus our efforts as we lay the foundation for future committee work. Lastly, we anticipate that the special education program evaluation conducted by Dr. Cox will provide additional data to drive future committee work. In the early business of meetings, in order to help guide our discussions, we decided to reach out to all the schools to identify their concerns. In February, we had 2 to 3 representatives from each school's leadership team. In advance of the meeting, we sent out a series of questions for all of them to address. Each school had the same questions to review, and each school responded at the same time at a single meeting. This was helpful to us because we were able to hear and compare similarities and differences from school to school. In subsequent meetings, we reviewed our notes from the February meeting and determined that there were 3 common areas of need: professional development, a parent resource center, and special education materials and training. From that, the members agreed that professional development and the funds necessary to support it came across as the most immediate area of concern. For example, some of the areas regarding professional development noted were training for co-teachers, addressing the different behavioral challenges in the classrooms and follow-up support, using paraprofessionals effectively in the classroom, maintaining student engagement in the learning process, training for new teachers on systems and programs unique to FCCPS, guidance for using planning time more effectively, financial support and opportunity for attending conferences, and differentiation of instruction within the general education classroom. Being able to have a comprehensive plan would help address district-wide professional development and help make our delivery of service more consistent from building to building. We impress upon the school board to work with Director Liz Germer to develop a recurring comprehensive plan for professional development for teachers and paraprofessionals to enhance our services and address the needs of our ever-changing and growing student population. In order to implement the comprehensive plan, it is imperative that time is allotted for staff to have professional development every single school year. Our final recommendation, as the plans come to fruition for the schools to be built, updated, expanded, I'm just not touching that one. Please take the measures necessary to ensure the adequate space required for delivering of all types of services, to include OT, PT, speech, resource room, and testing rooms, is in the final blueprint. It is our collective belief that if these measures are adopted in a form designed by the division leadership, that the true beneficiaries of these will be students with disabilities. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you very much, and thank you all for the service you give to the schools and the work that you continue to do. And Mr. Nkuma has comments, I believe. Mr. Nkuma.
As liaison to the Special Education Advisory Committee, I just want to commend John for his leadership through some interesting times, so to speak, and the rest of the Special Education Advisory Board as well. I personally am in awe of this group of committed parents and staff who live and breathe special education, both in their professional and daily lives. So I just want to commend them for all they've done, the effort they put into it, and generally, I feel like anytime I attend a meeting, I feel like a student learning more and more about special education, because it's such a vast area, and I have little, I'm just learning it. I will say I'm especially pleased to have a superintendent who has a specialty and background in that, and so we will definitely lean hard on him, John, for his counsel and guidance on that. But thank you for the efforts, and keep up the good work. Thanks.
Thank you very much. All right, we're going to move on to public comment. In accordance with School Board Bylaws 2.30, the time for each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. Additional written statement may be submitted to the clerk for dissemination to the board members and for the record. All right. The first speaker slip I have is Ms. Laura McNamara.
Hi, everyone. This is obviously a very long agenda, so I promise to read quickly, and I promise you don't have to take a picture with me afterwards. I'm here tonight to strongly urge the school board to reinstate the 7 early release Wednesdays that were eliminated 3 years ago. Currently, Mount Daniel planning time consists of 50-minute planning block during student specials and about 20-minute block for lunch during student recess. This planning and lunchtime is labeled as unencumbered, which is misleading due to the fact that we are the primary caretakers of every student in our class. And if any situation arises in which a student in your class requires attention, this can be anything from behavior, injuries, illness, late arrivals, the teacher is almost always involved. It's simply a natural occurrence while teaching lower elementary students. They require more care, nurturing, and attention from their classroom teacher, even if this happens to be during our planning time. Because of this, the only truly unencumbered planning time for Mount Daniel staff is on early release Wednesdays. This is also the only time during the week that grade level teams have shared planning time, so on weeks when the early release Wednesday has been eliminated, grade level teams are unable to meet, plan, and collaborate together. And this collaboration is the cornerstone of the teaching process at Mount Daniel, and further, the IB recommended that we implement more grade level collaboration time during last year's reauthorization visit. Now, I realize that the early release Wednesdays are becoming less common in this area, but there are many aspects of our school system that are similarly unique and should be celebrated rather than eliminated to fit a certain mold. I also recognize that the schedule may seem burdensome to parents, but I'm certain that our incredibly supportive parent community would advocate for these early release days if they understood the immense benefit to their child's education. And frankly, I've heard from several parents that keeping track of the sporadic non-early release Wednesdays is burdensome in itself. Before I finish, I'd just like to outline some facts about the daily schedule during next year's construction. Both Spanish and music will take place in our classrooms, and that means that our unencumbered planning time will take place with our students in the classroom 3 out of 5 days every week. And there will literally be no alternative space in which we can go to work or plan because of this construction. Lunch will also take place in our classroom, and that means that on rainy days, it's entirely possible that our students will never leave the classroom. And without being hyperbolic here, I can tell you that teachers are terrified of that scenario next year. I believe that early release days benefit both teachers and lower elementary students under any circumstances, but I think there's an especially dire need to provide some time for collaboration, true unencumbered planning time, and just general relief during what will undoubtedly be a trying school year during construction next year. And I thank you for your consideration.
Thank you much, Ms. McNamara. Our next speaker is Ms. Allison Kutchma.
Hi, good evening. Allison Kutchma, 813 Fulton Avenue. Welcome, Dr. Noonan. I haven't had an opportunity to speak with you, so welcome to our community. I just recently sent you a memo, which I'm sure you haven't had the opportunity to even know that you have or read, containing some concerns that I have regarding school resource allocation. One of the primary reasons why I am a candidate for school board is that I'm concerned about the sustainability of our great schools. I truly care. The lack of program analysis or review during the budget season or any time is very troubling to me. I am gravely concerned and will continue to ask questions about that and about the fact that the board has embarked on the implementation of the middle years program with no analysis of the data as it relates to student achievement, which is in fact the metric by which all programs should be measured. There was no discussion as to its cost. There has been no assessment of projected costs associated with this program on the enrollment projections that we have for student growth in our community. This will certainly impact operating costs, and I believe we need to be transparent with the community about what they are. For example, in addition to adding an administrator, this program requires that our bell schedules are aligned between the middle school and the high school, which significantly impacts our ability to do more with less in terms of buses. This is real money, or if it isn't yet, at some point it will be. Please analyze the budget impact of this program and all programs before asking the community to pay for it. Furthermore, there has been no assessment on the cost and impact on accessibility for students with disabilities. None. The community is just not in a position to pay for things that you cannot justify or explain with data. I have been asking questions about data and transparency for years, and I still await answers. I am not going away. Please let's use resources directly for educational outcomes, not efforts that garner us awards that are not delivering real value to our children. I feel that my greatest responsibility, if I were on the school board, would be to be a good steward of the resources given to our schools for student achievement for all students. I don't see that kind of stewardship yet on the school board, and that is my primary reason for running. I implore you to read my memo, which goes deeper into other resource allocation issues, and I ask you to thoughtfully consider the suggestions that I have offered. I would like to hear some feedback, without which my concerns about responsible stewardship will only grow. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Kutchma. Just real quickly to that, we will be reaching back out to you on a number of the issues that you have discussed. I think we've worked really hard to make sure that I think over the last 6 months of my being the chair and with Mr. Reitinger and the board, I think we've made a significant effort to be more transparent about the operations of the budget this year, and we plan to continue to do that in the time moving forward. All right, with that, we will, if someone would read us into close. Mr. Reitinger.
Mr. Chairman, pursuant to the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, I move that the board convene a closed meeting for the following purpose: to discuss or consider the identified subject matter, personnel under Section 2.23711A1, in particular staff appointments, staff reappointments, staff reassignments, staff resignations, staff requirements, staff performance, staff change in position, childcare leave, medical leave, EPED assignments, and advisory committee appointments and resignations, and student matters under section 2.23711A3, in particular interrupted residence.
Is there a second? Okay. Mr. Nkuma, Ms. Goodell?
Yes. Let's see. Mr. Ankuma?
Aye.
Mr. Lawrence? Mr. Reitinger? Ms. Ward? And Mr. Webb?
Yes. Maybe before we go back, and just ask Dr. Noonan, how long do you think we actually will be back there? Back to this one. So
20 to 20. Mr. Chair, if I can work this out, somewhere between 20 and 30 minutes.
All right, and that was just in reference, because I know we have a student hanging out for something a little later, so you'll be one of the first things that we do when we kind of wrap up this part of it. So just let you know when you get on, when you're ready to go and have to do some homework, you always can let us know that too. Yeah, if someone just bring us out of going into close for briefly, so we can actually take care of our new member here. We'll take care of it now, though. It's because we don't want you to have to hang out and be super late. A public comment? Oh, hang on one second. Let's come out of close. Yeah, let's come out of close first, and then we'll.
Do you know? Can we just recess from closed, or do we have to come out? Five minutes.
Yeah. So if
Second.
Yeah, we're in recess right now, and so all in favor? Aye. Okay.
I didn't, so we have 4 boys in our public school system, and out of 5, and one of them is a first grader who graduated from kindergarten. Graduated is a cool term when you have a kid leaving kindergarten, and he was in Miss McNamara's class. And she said in her comments that she was sure that if the parents were here that they would support her motion to, or her proposal to continue with the early planning days. And I figured we're here, so I would publicly say I absolutely support her, because so far, and probably for the next 12 years, she is Marshall's highlight of his education career. Loved Mrs. McNamara. So that was all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so do we have? All right, so, yeah. All right, so what we're going to do is adjust the agenda to move the business action and information of 7.01 to move now to go ahead and appoint the student representative to the school board, and if someone would make that motion for us.
I move we adjust the agenda as the chair just specified.
Second.
All in favor? All right. Okay. All right, so if someone would make the motion to appoint. Yeah. We'll make the motion, and then I'll let you can have some comments at that point. So if there the motion.
I move that the school board approve the appointment of Nathan Holmes as student representative to the school board for the 2017-2018 school year.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. And before we take a vote, Nathan, if you want to make some comments, you please have the opportunity to.
Being in high school and being in lots of government clubs like Model UN, Young Republicans, stuff like that, we usually don't hear about the city civil service and people who work in that field like you guys. And a lot of people say, oh, they look up to this congressman or they look up to this president, but I just want to say that you are the guys that I look up to. You guys take time out of your day, this late at night to be able to serve the city and be able to serve the people. So thank you.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate that looking up to us as well. All right, so Next, we will take a vote, and if Ms. Goodell.
Yes. Mr. Ankuma?
Aye.
Mr. Lawrence? Mr. Reitinger?
Yes.
Ms. Ward?
Yes.
And Mr. Webb?
Yes. Congratulations. And if you come on up and do your picture with us. You guys come up here. Look forward to working with you next year. Okay. Okay. Okay.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Welcome aboard.
So now we will move back to the, go back from recess. And if, do we need to redo the,
Mr. Chairman, I move we reconvene into closed session.
second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Second? Second. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. And if someone would now certify.
Mr. Chairman, whereas the Falls Church City School Board has convened a closed meeting on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and whereas Section 2.23711B of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by the school board that such closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law, now therefore be it resolved that the Falls Church Public School Board hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from each meeting requirement by Virginia law were discussed in the closed meeting to which this certification applies, and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered.
Just a second. All right, thank you, Mr. Lawrence. Ms. Goodell?
Mr. Ankuma?
Aye.
Mr. Lawrence? Mr. Reitinger?
Yes.
Ms. Ward? Mr. Webb?
Yes. All right. I would like to move the consent agenda. Move the consent agenda with, without objection. All right, so ordered. All right, and on to business actions and information, and we've done 701, and we'll move on to 7.02, first readings of policies. Ms. Menson.
Yes, sir. Good evening. I apologize, I did not get these policies to the board members earlier than just getting up on board docs this afternoon, late, but did want to present 3 policies for first reading. The first is policy GAH, which is actually a policy that was first adopted by the school board on April 13th. That policy does need to have a few changes pursuant to an amendment of the Virginia Code 22.13121 by new House bills and Senate bills. Marty posted on board docs the new GAH. The language in red is what is being added. I apologize that on page 2, line 61, I included the word blank instead of Falls Church City, so I will make that change. The change in the Virginia Code is that employees may receive awards for exceptional service without that being held against them in any single way. And under advisory opinions, employees may seek a formal written advisory opinion from the Ethics Council. So that accurately reflects the new provisions of the Virginia Code. I propose that this be the school board's first reading. I correct the change on 961 on page 2, and then it be hopefully adopted after second reading at the next school board meeting, unless anyone has questions about this policy.
Questions? Mr. Lawrence?
First of all, thank you for putting the line numbers on. It's a
You're
small thing,
welcome.
but I appreciate it. But what you were just talking about, new Section D on line 58.
Yes.
So how would, if you get like, probably answering this myself, but, an Apple grant or something like that, is that because that would be through a for-profit company's 501c3 foundation? How would that work? Because
I'm not sure how that would work. I think the reason there was the change in the legislature was they recognized that teachers might get awards and this might be in conflict with the previous Virginia code. So I think they realized they needed to carve out an exception so that teachers could get awards. So whether it's the Apple grant or others, they want to make clear that teachers could benefit in a way that otherwise would have conflicted with the Conflicts of Interest Act for Virginia. Your question, did I?
Okay. No, it's just it seems like Apple and Google and a lot of other places, do give out awards one way or another. So I'm just foundations that are tax exempt.
I'm not sure how they give those donations, but I do know that GIH is a new policy in general from the Virginia General Assembly from January of this year. So the fact that the General Assembly needed to further amend the bill, it was likely in recognition that teachers can and should get meritorious awards from different entities.
How do we make sure teachers know about this? Because you make it very clear. You say, employees are required to read and be act and with this. I mean, how do we do that?
It's my expectation that we'll include a reference to this in the employee handbook that we'll be revising this summer.
Okay, but still, we're requiring that they read it, but there's no way to know if they read it, I guess is my real point.
Dr. Noonan?
I would imagine that as part of our opening day, the opening day week that we have with our teachers, that there will be a legal section.
Sections are all legal.
Pardon?
I hope they're all legal.
Yes.
I
yes,
hope they're not
of course.
all legal, goodness gracious.
Yeah, I'm sorry. A session that would be about legal, about legal updates where Ms. Minson would go through changes in policy, changes in regulation, and changes in Virginia code to bring everybody up to speed. So I would anticipate that during that first week back, we'll go through the substantive changes that have been made.
Okay, yeah, I just want to make sure that if we expect people to read it, we say explicitly, you should read it. This is where it is, not just have it here saying they should read it without making that very, very clear.
And we have made it a practice that after each time that we approve policies, we're sharing it with the principals and administrators at our leadership meeting for them to also share it with their staff. And we're also going to email the policies out to all FCCP staff. Can't guarantee they'll read it, but we're trying to make sure that they have access and know what's been updated.
Right, and to know that some of these are, different kinds of penalties and, personally liable, not just, professional problems.
And along those lines, while the board has tasked Dr. Noonan and myself with going through the policies, starting with the personnel policies, I have designated, I went through there are about 8 policies and some overlap, 8 other policies that need to be specifically referenced in the student handbook or in the employee handbook. So I'm hoping to take those out of order over the summer, present for first reading at the next school board meeting, second reading in August, so that we can include them in the updated student handbook and employee handbook going forward. And I'm hoping to be able to present many more than just 3 policies for first reading at our next meeting.
Thank you. Any other questions? Not?
I'm proposing that the school board remove policy 3.19. This is a policy that is not based in the Virginia Code or any Virginia statutes. It's a policy that was initially drafted by Falls Church in 1974. While it was last amended in 2011, it provides that any employee can bring essentially any issue they have that relates to the operation of the school system to their supervisor, their administrator. If they disagree with that decision, they can bring it to the superintendent. If they disagree with the recommendation or the decision of the superintendent, they can bring it to the school board. As it stands right now, there are methods that individuals can bring complaints under Title IX for discrimination, to challenge instructional material, complaints regarding specific employees, and complaints from the public forward. I think this is an unnecessary provision. it also doesn't provide what that policy, what that review looks like, what the standard is, in what forum it is. So I don't think it's necessary, and I would respectfully suggest that the board remove this from its policies.
Questions? Mr. Lawrence?
I fully support the, taking out 3.19. My only question is to amend or do a policy, we need 2 readings, right?
Technically, you can do away with the first reading and agree to go with second reading and adoption. What I've been doing, and I spoke with Ms. Goodell, and we're hoping that the board would approve of this, and I apologize I didn't check with any of you in advance, but since we do have public sessions where individuals can come and talk to present during first reading policies, both to amend and policies to remove. So if there are concerns from members of the community or from employees, they conceivably could hear about the removal at one meeting and come to the second meeting before the board chooses to act on it.
Okay, well, I guess my question is there any reason not to act on 3.19? Have to do a first and second?
I think there need to be a motion to not have a first reading, but removal of policies, you don't really need to have a first or second reading. So technically, the board could move to remove policy 3.19. You don't need to have a first reading of it because there's nothing that's replacing it. So that would be within the board's discretion.
Thank you.
Okay, and for that, and
One more policy for first reading.
go ahead.
It's similar to the policy 3.19. There is a line in policy 3.1. The final sentence says, any employee or group of employees may appeal a decision of the superintendent to the school board. That's very broad. It doesn't say what that appeal looks like. It doesn't say what the standard is on appeal. In looking at policy 3.1, rather than just taking that policy and suggesting that you strike that last line, we tried to compare that policy to what the model policy would be from the Virginia School Board Association. The Virginia School Board Association version is CA, which is up on board docs. It's the administration goals. It is substantially shorter than the purpose and organization goal that is here and is present. I was hoping that since it is first reading, if anyone had a whole lot of interest in keeping 3.1. There could be a discussion of that here. If you'd prefer to do that in another forum and share with me what your concerns are, that's fine too. I did want to point out that the third full paragraph of policy 3.1 does align with another VSBA model policy, CBG, which I do anticipate the board will adopt in the future, and other parts of talking about the lines of responsibility within the division and questions from staff members concerning the operation of the school system is covered in VSBA policy GBD.
I think this one that you're talking about is not on board docs for us to see.
CA?
Is it?
No, CA is, but
Sorry, CA is replacing 3.1, so there's not a link to 3.1 on board docs, and I do apologize for that. The 3.1 is available on our website. Is a 2-page, fairly thorough policy that talks about the purpose and the organization of the school board, that the school board has the authority to run the school division and those things. And many of those provisions talking about the delegation of the school board, at least the portion talking about the superintendent being responsible for leadership of the administration and the school board expecting the superintendent to provide leadership in decision-making, communication, planning, and developing and maintaining close working relationships is reflected in CA, but this is certainly a culling down of the very lengthy policy 3.1.
Any questions for Ms. Minson? If not, I will entertain a motion.
Chairman, I move that the school board approve first reading of policies GA, School Employee Conflict of Interest, and CA, and administration goals, and remove policy 3.19. And I apologize, I just can't.
I can't help myself with GA either, thank you.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're now on to second reading and adoption of policies.
Very good. So for second reading, we have 5 policies, and we are proposing the removal of 2 policies and 1 resolution, or 1 regulation. The policies for second reading are policy GBN about staff hiring procedures. There had been 1 requested addition of language from when we had first reading. Any questions on policy GBN, staff hiring? The second policy is GBE, staff health. When we had first reading on this, there were very few questions. We did add a provision at line 25, lines 27 to 33, for when, in the opinion of the superintendent, an employee is no longer able to perform their assigned duties. So if the board does adopt this today, that would be in effect starting today, going forward for our school staff. Questions about this policy? Policy KN is the sex offender registry notification policy. Based on feedback during first reading, we did add, and the language is there in red, that contractors are specifically provided the employee information. We defined some terms in here, and we talked about the relevant information that would be provided to local law enforcement. Other than a few stylistic changes, it is consistent with what we had discussed during first reading. And policy KN, violent sex offenders on school property, just clarified one addition that Mr. Castillo and Mr. Lawrence had pointed out, and otherwise is consistent with both the Virginia Code and our practices. Lastly, the proposal is to remove policy 8.21, policy 8.20, and regulation 8.20.
Any questions? Not, if I would entertain a motion.
Just one point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Reitinger.
We wouldn't remove the regulation, would we? That would be an action by the superintendent.
It would be an action of the superintendent. We wanted to put it here so that when it's not written in the motion, okay, so it wouldn't be in the motion, it'd be an action of the superintendent, but to make clear to the board that we're not going to be removing a policy and keeping a regulation in place, correct? Thank you for clarifying that.
And a motion.
All right, Mr. Chair, I move that the school board approve second reading and adoption of the following policies. Policy GAE-JHG, child abuse and neglect reporting. Policy GBE, staff health. Policy GBN, staff hiring procedures. Policy KN, sex offender registry notification. And policy KNA, violent sex offenders on school property. And the deletion of policies 8.20, Fair Labor Standards Act, and 8.21, workers' compensation.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No. All right. Thank you very much. All right, next we'll move on to the approval of Apple lease addendum. Dr. Noonan, or?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a renewal of the Apple lease. This is going to be a 4-year lease addendum. It's coming to you a little later than we anticipated because we did go back and I sent the contract back through council to make sure that we were in accordance with state procurement and some other legal aspects of it. We did renegotiate a couple of terms of the lease, and I want to thank Ms. Minson for taking on that charge. There are a couple of pieces in there, but primarily one of the terms of the lease agreement that we were in was that at any point in time, Apple could come in, or a representative of could come into our schools and just take their equipment without any notice. And so we've gone back and fixed some of those pieces in the lease. But I'd ask Ms. Minson if she has anything she'd like to add regarding the contract, but we think it's ready to sign.
The only other point is the actual cost did go down about $30,000 over the course of negotiating this, due, I think, to Apple having a new product out. So the cost for some of the products we were going to get was going down. So that's good news.
All right, thank you very much. Any questions for any board member? Mr. Reitinger?
Just not so much a question, but a confirmation for anyone who's watching or will be watching this later. This is essentially the agreement that was presaged in the budget that, as you said, goes to a 4-year lease. It's a continuation. It has all of the elements we talked about in the budget process, including including giving us from the prior lease the one-time payment that we got for return of equipment. So this is, other than what you've just described, exactly what we talked about in the budget process before, correct?
Yes.
If there are no other questions, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that the board move to authorize the superintendent to execute the Second Amendment to the master lease purchase agreement with Apple Inc., originally dated June 15, 2014.
Second? Support. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you very much. And we're on to, anyone have any future agenda items? Future agenda items.
Something that I've asked before, and I think I told our new superintendent about it. I still would like an evaluation of how the adjusted bell schedules between MEH and GM have worked out. It was a bit controversial, and we had high school parents. You know, I'm one who had kids getting to school about a half hour early. So how have the MEH kids been able to benefit? Because the whole idea was, rather than making it where they could just do something for the first block, they would have the whole day to be able to do things at the high school. And I'd like to see, I mean, we should all like to see whether it worked and if it actually.
Other topics or agendas for future? We'll move on to the report from the superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is my first official meeting from the dais, and I appreciate the patience with me this evening. Let's start with Jesse Thackeray. Very excited that tomorrow our preschoolers are going to celebrate the 104th birthday of Jesse Thackeray with a cupcake party. What better way to celebrate the 104th birthday than with a cupcake party? And last week, every student participated in the Special Olympics Little Feat meet that MEH staff and students organized. It's really a great opportunity for each of our students to try out the new physical activities and have a really great time. At Mount Daniel, Field Day was last Tuesday, and it was the very last time that the students at Mount Daniel got to use the old ramp for the mountain climbing exercise. If you haven't been there and seen these kids pull themselves up on the rolling pieces, it's pretty exciting. And then after school closes at Mount Daniel, I wanted just to let the viewers know that the Falls Church Police are going to be using Mount Daniel's building for a training exercise for several days at the end of June prior to the start of demolition. I've spoken with our chief of police here in the city of Falls Church, and she has agreed that she's going to do some communication, and already has, to many of the community members around that. With respect to a quick construction update, we are waiting on some final permits currently at Mount Daniel to be able to install the portable classrooms there. But as I walked the halls yesterday, I'm happy to report that our teachers are packing up, and this time it looks like it's for real. So we're very excited about that. Thomas Jefferson, it was the second annual PYP exhibition, and that's this Thursday evening, at 6 p.m. Fifth grade students, teachers, and mentors have been working diligently for the past 6 weeks on their projects to learn about the world and make a difference. The gym, cafeteria, and even the outside spaces will be set up with presentations, and I hope that everyone can come and attend these events. At Mary Ellen Henderson, it's reasonable to assume that every middle school student, staff member, and hundreds of volunteers are recuperating this evening in their nice air-conditioned homes after today's amazing field day. I unfortunately got there just a little bit too late, and I saw the cleanup from it, but it looked like it was a lot of fun. I've already mentioned the Little Feat earlier, but kudos to the principal, Ty Harris, who brought this amazing inclusive event to Falls Church. The meet has done wonders for our partnership with Special Olympics, including students from 7 schools, and the students will be packing and of all ages and all abilities. On June 19th, I just wanted to announce that will be Give Day at Mary Ellen Henderson. I think that was mentioned earlier this evening by someone else, and students are going to be packing 20,000 meals for Rise Against Hunger. This is a significant effort that's been spearheaded by the PTA and a Student Give Day Club that has raised funds throughout the year to make this happen. GMHS, of course, tonight was a night of celebration for many of the George Mason High School students that we've already recognized. But we also have a number of students that are very busy right now in their 10 days of externship. Students are spending 45 hours with adults. Some are in our schools, and that's all of our schools from Thackeray, Mount Daniel, TJ, and Mary Ellen Henderson, all the way to GMHS, helping teachers at every grade level. Others are in hospitals, engineering firms, and accounting firms, parks, Virginia Department of Transportation, and more. This is the second year that we've had externships, and from all accounts, it seems like it's going really well. Just tomorrow night, I hope to invite everyone that would be interested in coming to the Falls Church City Public Schools retirement celebration at Mary Ellen Henderson. The reception starts at 4:30. The program will begin at 5:15. We have 12 retirees this year, and 8 will be in attendance. It's always very inspirational to learn about the careers of those that have served our schools so well and how appreciative we are to them. I want to thank the City Council for their the joint meeting last week, where we had an opportunity to review with them the work of Perkins Eastman and talk about the George Mason, Mary Ellen Henderson site. I want to thank the school board for their participation in Saturday's town hall meeting. Would like to thank Mr. Reininger for his participation on Sunday at the Village Preservation and Improvement Society meeting. We've had a busy weekend, that's for sure. Spent a lot of time together and enjoyed it. Thank you, Mr. Lawrence, for last night coming to the Mount Daniel community meeting where we had a chance to meet with some community members there. And today was a special day for me. I just want to share with the board and the community. I had a chance to go meet Mr. Lou Olam at his house and spent about 45 minutes there talking with him about his experiences with Falls Church City Schools, his experience starting the IB program. For those of you that don't know Lou Olam in the community, he is the father of IB here, and next month he turns 100 years old. And what a wonderful man just to sit and talk with, and I would like to thank Kieran Sharp for helping make that happen. And with that, Mr. Chair, I will yield the floor. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Dr. Noonan. And again, great first meeting. As you continue to get acclimated to things here in town. Next, we will have the board and student liaison report, and I will start with Mr. Lawrence to my right.
Actually, Dr. Noonan pretty much covered everything I was going to say, so I'm done.
Mr. Reininger.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I'll be relatively brief. I wanted to catch up on a few things sort of at the end of the year as we're winding down. I think I made the main comment I wanted to make about the ESOL committee earlier when it gave its report, which is the ESOL committee is very effective. It is strongly led. It remains concerned that we have the right level of resourcing for ESOL students. I attend regularly the Support Employees Advisory Committee. It's also been, I think, had very good participation this year. Still needs some additional representatives, including someone from Mary Ellen Henderson, so we'll need to keep working on that. But the Support Employee group was, I think, quite pleased with the way the budget came out and that we were able to do some competitive adjustments and give a good salary bump to the non-professional staff. The Economic Development Working Group, which Mr. Ankuma and I attend, and also the superintendent, is continuing to meet fairly regularly on Fridays. It is going forward. It tends to be focused more on presentations and hearing ideas from developers. The main substantive step that it's taken is bringing on a consultant to help the city plan out the best way to do effective development at the George Mason campus. And of course, I mean, it will not shock any of you who attended the joint meeting with the City Council that there are a lot of people who remain committed to having 10 acres of development rather than 8 or fewer. The last thing I'd say is I was able, I'm one of those people who is recuperating this evening because I was able to attend the MEH field day. It was my, I was able, because my kids are in their 3rd year at MEH, and I was able to volunteer for the 3rd year. For those of you who have not ever attended an MEH field day, it is indeed, as Mr. Coffrin would say, epic, and it is one of my absolute favorite events in Falls Church City. And this year I was a snow cone creator, and my wife was running the water slide. So she was wet, muddy, but happy. So it's a great event, and it shows the spirit of Falls Church City. So I couldn't be happier to have a chance to participate in all those different forums. Thank you.
Mr. Ankuma?
Yeah, so Speak has had, I was at the last the 2 meetings ago, just before they had to start working on their report, I was there at that meeting. The last one, I guess, clashed with our last school board meeting, so couldn't make that. But you heard from them, Mr. Abracimento, and those guys do a wonderful job on Speak. Band boosters, need I say more? In addition to all that happened, I was at Algiers on Sunday where they played, and again, they wowed the crowd. I mean, some of those kids are just amazing. There's one kid who, I actually saw 2 kids, they played together, and then some of them left, and a couple of professionals, one with a double bass, and others joined them. And I was sort of sitting at the bar, you know, sipping on something stronger than water, and heard a sax solo, went back, and it was one of our kids. I mean, this sounded extremely professional. And then there was another guy who started out singing like a jazz singer, and he's a junior looking, from what I hear, to go to Juilliard. So we've got some wonderful talent out there that we need to keep cultivating. So here we go. Right, so that was that. That was really good. So it's been a busy weekend, to Dr. Nuna's point. Falls Church EPTA, which is the elementary PTA, was at the last leadership meeting, which is always nice because they hold it in one of the members' houses where, you know, things are a little bit more liberal, if I can say that. Another awesome group of committed parents and teachers, very active with social events, give lots of grants to support activities in the school. You know, I can't commend them any more than that, but they all do a wonderful job, especially the PTA. I've been on other PTAs, but this one is, and maybe it's the age of the kids, but these parents are extremely committed, and a couple of teachers out there who also joined the group. So, yeah, it's been pretty good.
Thank you, Ms. Cooper. Ms. Ford.
Yeah, thank you. I don't really have anything to add to Beth's or Shilpa's report. I think they were very thorough. I am happy that Beth brought up the situation at TJ with the fence, the area of the fence. And those of you who know that area, there's a pathway and it's wooded. And I know that was a concern, but Katie Clinton obviously got that taken care of, so we're good.
Thank you. Mr. Reiniger.
Just briefly, Mr. Chair, sorry, I forgot to mention that, because it's not really a part of my school board responsibilities, but I did attend one of the 2 MEH band concerts and the MEH chorus concert last week, and both were, as you would think, typically exhilarating concerts, and the more carried out because it was Mr. Mills' first year, and the chorus teacher is out on maternity leave, so we had a substitute participating. She did. It was a wonderful set of events. Also, just since our last meeting, for the very first time ever at MEH, to the best of my knowledge, along with the spring musical, there was a comedy session that was done on the night of June 2nd. And one of my sons participated in that. So congratulations to Ms. G on bringing out a new opportunity for future Jerry Seinfelds to work in Falls Church City Schools.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to the approval of minutes, and I will ask unanimous consent for approval for the April 18th, May 2nd, and June 6th meetings. Without objection, so ordered. All right, and finally, there are some enrollment materials for reading. And are there any other comments or anything before adjournment? If not, we stand adjourned.